We get in here to our first class of market, and I think we've got some nice heifers. I think it's commendable that they've started these calves from beginning to end and getting to see them out here and what they've become. The young lady's showing a black and white heifer that I think is just the best in terms of her expression and shape of muscle. One that fundamentally, I think, covers the market basics, and at times she can give you a decent look as well. She's maybe one you want to lay back and angle of her shoulder just a hair, but she's clearly fairly agile. So still a good structured heifer. The black heifer that comes next, just kind of an easy feeding type of a heifer, good bodied, has clearly a push of a little bit more finish of these top three heifers that I thought were in contention here. One that's still got some shape down the top side of her skeleton. She's one that just gets a little bit plainer in the way she's made, especially as we send her here on the profile. A good looking heifer third. I think this one's the long, extended one. One that you'll like in terms of her levelness of spine, squareness of hip. You get in behind her, and I think she's just a touch more disappointing. She's one that maybe just needs a little bit more time. Want to mass her up and set her down square as we send her through her hop. The red heifer, one that's clearly just product oriented. She's got some dimension. She's clearly the furthest along in terms of her finish and weight. She's one that skeletally want to lay back in the angle of her shoulder, maybe just freshen her up in her shape. Same can be said about the heifer that comes out next. Want to give her a shot more expression. And the two calves at the end of the line just want to power them up, give them a few more days on feed. Let's give all those young people a nice hand.
First purple in that class, Hayden Osdemore. Second purple, Lily Yoakum. Third purple, Grace Pierce. Fourth purple, Jada James. Fifth with a blue, Forthman. Sixth with a blue, Cameron Cook. And seventh with a blue, Kaisa Kelby. And then our second year bucket bottle heifer champion will be Hayden Osdemore and our reserve Lily Yoakum. Bree Barrier, we need your market heifer to the show ring. Bree Barrier, bring your heifer to the show ring. Jace Hayden and Logan Young, we also need your calves outside the show ring. Jace Young, Bree Barrier, and Hayden outside the show ring, please. We need class 3 heifers outside the show ring also. Class 3 outside the show ring, please.
another fun project for these young people. Again, starting them from beginning to end and seeing what they've become and doing all the work behind the scenes with this Born and Raised program. And I think they're still bringing out some really high quality animals. The young man, I think, wins this class, and he does so fairly handily. This heifer is just big topped, got a really big hip in her, stout pin. She still gets out and motors really nicely. She's not the prettiest one as you study her there through her shoulder and chest, but with all that she's got in terms of product backing her up, I'm willing to give up a little bit of that. The heifer that comes out in second, I think this is a heavyweight heifer that's got some performance and size to her. She maybe planes up in terms of her muscle, just a hair, fix her there, but I think if you step in behind her, she's just got a little bit more dimension to her. Heifer that we have sitting in third. The heifer that's in third, a little bit more moderate in her kind. I think she's pretty far along in terms of her finish still. She's one that maybe just gets a little bit off balance. She spurs up nice there right behind her shoulder with some muscle and probably has that advantage over the heifer directly in front of her. Step in behind her and maybe you're just a little bit more disappointed in how she puts together her hip. Let's give those young people a nice hand.
Our champion produce market heifer is shown by Maverick Calv, and he'll be given a metal painter donated by Rex and Vicki Groves. And our second place with a blue, Haley Poland, and third with the blue, Sportsman. Now we have lot one market heifers coming into their class one, coming into the show ring, and we need class two and class 3 to be lined up outside. And we might as well bring class 2, 3, and 4 outside the show ring, please.
Thank you. So we'll do 4 classes of market heifers, and then we'll bring in the champion produce in reserve and the champion bucket bottle, and then champion market champion.
Austin Moss, we need your cap outside the show ring. Austin Moss.
We get into our first class of lightweight market heifers, and the heifer I'm going to use to win the class, I think, is just the most complete. She's one that's really square and fresh down her top. She's got some dimension when you get in behind her. I prefer how she sets out through her hip compared to the heifer that we have sitting in second. And she's just squarer and leveler there. She's maybe one that can be laid back in the angle of her shoulder, but I'm not sure we find that in the heifer that sits second. What we do find there is she is longer and more extended. She's longer bodied heifer. She's one that's got some shape and expression up high. Maybe want to just set her stouter at her pins. And then allow her to really level her spine and her hip out there and make her more attractive on the profile. The heifer that sits third, this one is further along in terms of finish as compared to the heifers right ahead of her. She's one that maybe just gives up a little bit more balance. She really wants to push forward in her shoulder and chest there. Maybe give her a shot more foot and bone work to allow her to proportion out. And the black and white heifer is just going to need a little bit more time. She's the lightweight heifer that just needs more time to gain some muscle and finish in comparison to these other ones. So let's give those young people a nice hand.
First went to Allison Black, second purple, Aiden Combs, third blue, Ella Forthman, and fourth with the blue, Cameron Cook. Class 2 is coming into the show ring, and we have an addition to Class 2. Ashlyn Forthman has a count coming into the show ring in this second class. Its weight, the Ashlyn Forthman calf weighs 1158. We need Ethan Chambers and Keaton Benson outside the show ring. Ethan Chambers, Keaton Benson outside the show ring, please.
think a nice class. We're starting to see some differences. In the weight classes, I don't read as much finish in them. You got to project them out and read their maturity and where they're going to be in the long run and how many days they've got left before they finish. And I think we see some of that as we get down the line here. And maybe there was a little bit more challenge if I get to the middle of the class, just where you want to lay your priorities and where you see those endpoints at. To me, I think it's pretty easy to start the heifer that we have winning the class. This one's just the freshest, biggest top one. She's got the most dimension when you get in behind her. Young lady does a really nice job showing her in terms of getting just a balanced, proportional look. Because I don't know if she's just kind of the freakiest main one, but the young lady does a really nice job of just making sure that she looks balanced and she spurs up and has easily got the most dimension. The heifer that comes in second, I think this one is one that's probably just a little bit longer and more extended in terms of her maturity pattern. I prefer her a little bit more there in terms of her added length. She's one that maybe wants to play out a muscle just a touch as you step in behind her, especially at the base of her quarter. But I think a heifer that's still got some expression and shape and one that you have to like, I guess, on the profile. That can be said about the black and white heifer that comes next. And this one is probably towards the bottom of the class when it comes to just sheer muscle, especially as you read her right behind her shoulder. I think she's one of the greener calves in here. And I think where she starts to find her way towards the top end of the class is she's just one of the better built ones. She might be the best built one in here in terms of just skeletal quality. And I think that if you read her into the future, she's got a longer road ahead than some of these calves that are towards the bottom end. The calf that comes next, I think a heifer that's just kind of an easy feeding one that's already got some finish on her. I wish that maybe we matched that with just a touch more dimension, especially as you get in behind her. The two calves that come next, I think, are fairly similar in the fact that they've got lots of muscle and product. That's not, I guess, the problem for me. When you read them in terms of their maturity pattern, these heifers just get a little too quick, and I think it starts to impact them structurally. Want to change them off of both ends. Then the calf that rounds out the class just want to give her a shot more power. Let's give all those individuals a big hand.
First in that class went to with the purple Riley Hemmingson, second purple Kyle Moss, third with the purple Bree Barrier, fourth purple Logan Young, fifth with the blue Melena, sixth blue Ashlyn Forthman, and seventh with the blue Jace Hayden. Then we need our our first and second from each class to come outside the show ring. Allison Black, Ava Combs, Riley Hemmingson, and Kyle Moss. And then we've got two more classes to judge before we do the champion.
you have my dad grab me a bottle of water? Do you have Matt give me a bottle of water?
Oh, yeah. Or I can just.
Oh, if you want to.
A nice set of heifers. We're getting up here in these weights where they're starting to lay on some finish and really kind of square up with some end product. The heifer that used to win the class, I think one that just really stays fresh when you're on the handle. She's one that just squares up with a touch more expression when you handle her up high. Maybe in comparison, she doesn't have as much dimension as you get in behind her in comparison to that heifer that sits second, but she's certainly not devoid. The heifer that comes second, one that's pushing just a little bit more cover. I think one that you certainly like in terms of her smoothness finish. Want to just allow her to offer a touch more expression as you handle her down the top, like the dimension that she offers from behind. The heifer that comes out next is a bigger heifer, one that's got some body shape. I think that allows her to stand with some dimension up high. Want to just open her up, especially at the base of her skeleton, allow her to set down square and truer there, and I think that allow her to offer some more dimension when you get in behind her. Let's give those young people a nice hand.
First with the purple, Kale Horthman. Second, purple, Austin Moss. And third with the blue, Matthew Mays. We have class 4 coming into the ring, and we need our class 1 of second year bucket bottle steers outside the show ring. Class 1, second year bucket bottle steers outside the show ring. Okay, we need our champion bucket bottle heifer outside the show ring and our champion produce heifer outside the show ring. Maverick cow and Hayden Osmore, we need your calves outside the show ring.
Well, in our last class of market heifers here, we're getting into these heavier weights, so part of it is just freshness, and I think that the heifer that wins the class She just squares up with a touch more expression right there behind her shoulder. She maybe is one that you could pull apart at her pins, but I think one that's got some dimension still. She's got some expression. I just need her to be a little fresher, I guess, down her top, especially than either of the heifers that sit behind her. Maybe want to pick her up in her chest. She really wants to lay some fat down there through her chest and into her flank. The heifer that comes in second, I think one that I guess if you get in behind her, she probably has the class advantage in terms of dimension, especially there through her lower quarter. I want to fix her maybe in skeletally, lay her back in the angle of her shoulder, open her up in her forerib, and I think that allow her to stand with some more width down the top side there. And then the heifer that comes in our final hole, like the body, the length and extension that she's got. She's one that's just a little bit staler and cleaner as you read her down the top of her skeleton. I want to just give her a shot more dimension. Let's give those individuals a nice hand.
Yeah, the ditch the jacket too. What was that? Yeah, the ditch the jacket too. No. I was trying to stick it out, but I was getting like sticky.
First with a purple in that class is Benjamin Moss, second purple, Keaton Benson, and third with the blue, Ethan Chambers. Now we'll pick our champion market heifer, and then our grand champion market heifer. So we should have second year buck bottle calves, and then our class 2 should be outside the show ring.
A really nice market heifer drive that we have out here. I think we've got 4 class winners that just cover all their bases when it comes to just market basics of muscle and finish, or maybe what we read them in terms of having finish in the future. I think that we've got 4 animals that certainly do all of those things correctly, and then I think it comes down to 2 heifers that probably offer just added pieces of quality when it comes to giving us a good look in terms of body shape and how they're put together from the side. You know, I talked about the heifer out of our second class and how the young lady just does an awesome job of getting a good look out of her. Because I don't know if she's just the most uniquely put together but she's certainly the best looking one out here. And I think half of that is because the young lady does a nice job showing that out of her. And then the heifer that comes out of the third class, I would say, is also in contention just for the fact that she's really opened up there in terms of her fore rib and mid rib, allows her to just mass up with a lot of dimension down her top side. She's a little bit further along in her finish. I think with that, she maybe gives up a little bit more quality from the profile. Maybe you just want to pick her up in her chest, lean her up in her neck and her front 1/3, but still love the mass and dimension in that one. So I'll go shake the hand of your champion. We'll look at your second and pick a reserve, but let's give all of our market heifer exhibitors a big hand.
Our champion market heifer was shown by Riley Hemmingson, and she was presented a metal hanger donated by Dickinson and Clark CPA. Our reserve champion heifer was shown by Kyle Moss. Now we'll do our grand champion market heifer, so we need the winners, the other champions, to come back into the show ring. Hayden Osmore and Maverick Help and Lily Yoakum.
it's fun to see the differences and kind of the different project areas of born and raised and second year bucket calf versus market heifer that I assume was purchased, and just to see those progressions. But I think you end up out here, and what shines through is these kids have obviously done the work at home and fed these cattle, and then they're getting them presented really nicely. So it makes my job a lot easier to look at them and evaluate the differences when we get them put together the right way. So I'm not going to go back through and talk them. I think that there's a calf out here that I'm really comfortable to win the deal in terms of just covering those basics and then offering some unique pieces. That's going to be the young lady's calf that won our market heifer division, will be our champion heifer. I think it gets a little bit closer for me as we bring our black and white heifer out of that division in. I think there's differences in terms of maturity for sure, and where they've progressed, I guess, from a finish standpoint. And we probably have a fairly obvious weight difference between the two of them, but I still think two really nice heifers between our produce head and our market heifer, our reserve market heifer. Those young men should be really proud of themselves for what they brought today. I'm going to use the black and white heifer to be our reserve market heifer, or reserve heifer. Let's give all of them what they can.
Our grand champion market heifer was shown by Riley Hemmingson, and she was donated a banner donated by Robin and Jody Volkins, and a belt buckle donated by EJ and Jean Fisher. Our reserve grand champion heifer shown by Kyle Moss, and he was given a banner donated by Neil Olympus for 4-H Club. Now we have class 1 of our second year bucket bottle steers, and class 2 should be lined up outside.
They'll be coming.
Benjamin Moss, we need your calf outside the show ring. Benjamin Moss.
Well, these second year bucket calves are having a lot of fun out here. I think that as we study them in terms of some market characteristics, we've got a couple of steers up here at the top end of the class that have really come along for them. I know that a bucket calf situation is not always the funnest situation for parents, but I think kids love it. And they take the time and energy to really get them off to a good start. And so it's fun to see them as an actual fat steer out here. I think between the two of them, the young man steer that's going to win the class, one that just shapes up really nicely. I think he's better built in terms of his body, which allows him to offer some more dimension up high. He's a little bigger hip than the steer that we have sitting in second. The steer that comes in second, one that's longer and more extended, he's probably a little thinner in the shape of his neck, one that's really expressive. Want to open him up in his forerib and give him a shot more lower hip, and I think that could become a closer pair. The steer that comes out next, I think, is one that's just a little bit further along in terms of his cover and how he's laying his muscle down than the steers that follow him. Young man does a nice job showing him. The steer that comes next, one that's big and high performing, with that added frame, I think there's going to take a little bit more time to get some finish and some added product on him. Same can be said about the two steers that come next, just a little bit more time and groceries, and we can see them come on. Let's give all those young people a nice hand.
First with the purple in that class went to Creed Huff. Second purple, Hudson Ross. Third purple, Ivan Letner. Fourth with a blue, Liz Young. Fifth blue, Lainey Young. And sixth blue, Berkeley Poland. Our second class is coming into the show ring. And then we'll pick our champion second year bucket bottle steer. We need our produce market steers outside the show ring. Produce market steers. We also need Division 1, Class 1 market steers outside the show ring. Division 1, Class 1 outside the show ring, please.
Which one? Sydney got added?
In this class, we have an addition, Sydney Leaders. She came from, or this calf came from page 11. Class 5, page 11. So scratch her from that class and put it on this class right here. So we have an extra calf.
A good second class of our second year bucket calf. That's a tongue twister. I think a nice set here that we have at the top end of this class. I think the pair of these steers probably struck me pretty early on, just in terms of offering some fresh square shape. And I think the young lady's steer takes it to the next level and still gives you a really nice, just complete look on the profile. It's a sound structured steer that certainly offers the product. The steer that comes in second, I think probably the most impressive as you study him right behind his shoulder. I think he spreads with the most dimension there. He's one that's got some muscle from there back. You maybe want to set him just squarer and leveler there through his hip and blend him a touch smoother there through his shoulder, but still a product-oriented steer. The calf that comes next, probably the one that's a little bit smoother in terms of how he is compositionally than the calf that's right ahead of him. I think he just reads smoother in his finish there. Want to open him up at the ground and give him a shot more power, especially as you read him through the base of his quarter. The calf that comes after him, I think, has an advantage there, very dimensionally there through his hip. He's one that just gets a little shorter and quicker in the way he's built. Want to lengthen him out, especially there through his front 1/3. The gold calf that comes next, this one is probably one that's further along, probably just the most ready at his endpoint right now. He just reads a little plainer and staler in terms of the shape of muscle that he offers. Just want to give him a little bit more angle there to his shoulder as well. Then as we get towards the bottom end of this class, I think some calves that maybe just aren't as far along in terms of muscle and sheer dimension as what we see at the top end. Let's give all of those individuals a big hand.
First purple in that class went to Peyton Leaders. Second purple, Mason Yoakum. Third purple, Sydney Leaders. Fourth purple, Claire Yoakum. Fifth with a blue, Jada James. Sixth blue, Isabel Forthman. Seventh blue, Braylon Huffman. And eighth blue, Benjamin Moss. Now we will choose our champion second year bucket bottle steer. Quentin Holquist and Ella Klusman, we need your calves outside the show ring. Quentin Holquist, Ella Klusman, outside the show ring, please.
We'll get our two class winners here in the fun drive of the bucket calves, and I think maybe just some weight and size variance here. But if I truly break it down, I think both these calves have muscle. They both are far enough along in terms of their finish. So then we can get a little bit more nitpicky, I guess, in how they're put together and maybe what they offer from a balance perspective. I think that there's some differences. I'm going to go ahead and use the young ladies bigger steer there out of our second class to be our champion bucket calf. We'll take a look at it for second or for reserve. See these steers side by side on the rear view, you probably see a big difference when it comes to just sheer mass in terms of how they're built through their pins and how they drop down with product there. And for those reasons, I'm going to use the young man's lighter weight steer to be our reserve bucket calf.
Our champion second year bucket bottle steer is shown by Peyton Leaders, and our reserve champion was shown by Creed Huff. Congratulations.
Well, yeah, you just stand right there. We have some variation again here in this class in size and weight. I think the steer that's got the best tandem, I guess for me in terms of freshness and where he's at in terms of finish, is the steer that's going to win the class. He squares up with the freshest